Hi, I'm Laura with Fathom Realty and UtahHomesLaura.com. Today we're diving into what is dual agency and limited agency. If you plan on buying a home or selling a home, you need to know what this is. It could cost you thousands of dollars if you don't understand this. So if you're off listing your home and you have signed this listing agreement with your agent that they will represent you in selling your home. Now you have an open house and a buyer comes in and they're not represented. Now that agent thinking, oh, I can make more commission here. I'm going to go ahead and become a limited agent because they don't have a realtor. Right now you already represent the seller. And now they're thinking, oh, if I bring in the buyer, then I'll make more money. So they go ahead and have this listing, the seller and the buyer sign an agreement called a limited agency agreement. Don't do it. I will never do it. The state of Utah allows you to do it, but I think you just limit yourself when you sign a limited agency agreement. So if you are a seller and you're interviewing that agent that you're going to hire to sell your home, make sure they do not do a limited agency agreement if a buyer comes in without an agent. And it's super important, and not very many agents will do what I do, and that is not become a limited agent when it's convenient. If you're a buyer and you do not have an agent, go get your own agent. You're better off. I've got some other videos explaining the seller commission side, the buyer's commission side, how it all works. And if you see how both sides work, you'll know that you'll want your own representation as a buyer. And I'm going to go ahead and show you what that form looks like, the unrepresented buyer, as well as the limited agency form, and kind of walk through that with you. Let me go ahead and bring this up and then I'll share it with you. Okay, this is what the limited agency consent agreement looks like. Now, you need to know that when you sign a listing agreement as a seller, you have a seller's agent, and that seller agent loyalty is to the seller. The seller's agent has a fiduciary duty to that seller, which includes loyalty, full disclosure, confidentiality, diligence, obedience, reasonable care, and holding safe all the monies entrusted to that agent, like the earnest money. As a buyer's agent, they're your same thing. They have a fiduciary duty to you as the buyer. Now, this is the problem right here. In the state of Utah, you can have dual agency or what we call limited agency. I don't like it. A limited agent is now all of a sudden you represent both the seller and the buyer and you become a neutral party. I don't know how you can do it because I like to go in and negotiate fiercely for my buyers. And how can I do that if I know the seller's situation? Say I listed their home for them and I know their whole situation. Now I'm negotiating against them, or I'm negotiating against the buyer by representing the seller if I now step in and represent the buyer. I do not like it. If you go to interview your agent, make sure if you're selling your home that they will not become a limited agent. And I would even have them sign an addendum that they won't do it. I would also need to tell you about limited agency. So if you're selling your home, a buyer comes in that works for the same brokerage that the agent that's selling your home works for. That's called an in-house transaction. So brokerages own the listings and the real estate agents serve those listings. So the brokerage would actually be a limited agent or principal between the seller and the buyer. However, those agents, they don't have access to each other's transaction documents. With the brokerage I'm with, we have strict policies, so nobody sees my paperwork, my documentation, other than my transaction coordinator and the principal broker. So anyway, make sure that you understand limited agency really well. Now, I also want to show you what unrepresented buyer looks like. So if I have somebody walk into one of my open houses and they don't have an agent, I give them three options. I say, okay, you can go out and get an agent, or you can be unrepresented, or you can just choose not to buy the property. but I will not be a limited agent. I don't feel like I will be doing either party justice, as far as I just don't know how you can represent both parties equally, especially when you started out listing a home, you know all about the seller and their situation. Maybe it's a divorce situation. Maybe it's a, they're on the verge of foreclosure. I just don't know how you could be in that position knowing there's two commissions on the line there. And I know in real estate where money's involved, people are persuaded. If you're a buyer, I highly recommend you go out and get your own agent. If you choose not to, this is a form that you're going to be asked to sign. It's unrepresented buyer. It's going to list out your name, the seller's name, location of property, and that, who the listing agent is and who the brokerage of that listing agent is. And it basically is going to break down what the seller's agent's responsibilities are, what a buyer's agency responsibility are, and again, a limited agent, which I will not be. So basically, it's like you are signing a waiver that you will not hold the seller's agent or the brokerage responsible at all, and they do not represent you and your interests. So go get your own agent. And if you need help getting your own agent and you don't live in the state of Utah, I'm connected throughout the entire country, and I can help you find a good agent to represent you in the area that you are. Meanwhile, stay tuned for the next video. I have a whole bunch of videos on how to buy a home, sell a home, protect yourself, what the market statistics are, just about everything you need to know real estate related. And meanwhile, subscribe. I'll see you on the next video.